Ladies and gentlemen, we are live!
Welcome everyone to the BX Sports Jedi Network MMA Weekly of Austin and Chef Dan. I am Austin. This is my co-host Chef Dan. How you doing tonight, Chef Dan?
I am doing great. I'm doing okay. You know what? I'm not doing great. I'm doing okay. But I really want to get into this, the past couple of events of what happened, especially with this card. I just want to get right into it, Austin.
I'm doing all right myself, and hang on, let me see. You guys can hear me well, right? You can hear me, Dan?
Yeah.
Okay, just making sure. Anyway, right, and I'm doing all right. Can't wait to break down what happened this past Saturday, because this Saturday, well, a lot happened, not just in the UFC, but MMA and combat sports, and to cover that real quick, my dad recorded a video where he breaks down what happened this past weekend, so we're going to play that first, and then we'll get into UFC 278. Let me just get the video ready, and we'll go from there. Give me one moment, and...
What is up, everyone? This is BX Sport Jedi Kev, the Don of the Watch Along, here with the Combat Sport Report for the MMA Weekly of Austin and Chef Dan. We're going to talk a little bit about the one and only bare knuckle fighting that was taking place in London. But first, without any little bit of controversial news, in that card, Paige Van Sant was pulled out of the page. Paige was removed for no situation, no given reason. It'll be interesting to see what her fighting career stands. We all know that she's started wrestling for AEW promotion for the professional wrestling, All Elite Wrestling. I wonder if that's going to be a contract of interest or what's the case, because we have not seen Paige on AEW for a few months now, and she was pulled from this fight in London. This is bare knuckle fighting's debut in London, and what a way to start it off. I will read the card, but of course, the first and foremost, it was the main event. It was MVP Michael Perry taking on Michael Page. You see that Perry wins on a majority decision on the scorecard. It was a pretty good fight, bloody. MVP, boy, they look like squirrels at the end of that match. They were balloon. The nonstop action that you get when it comes to a bare knuckle fighting card over the weekend in London. They made their debut. I think to me it was a success. Their bare knuckle debut was a really good success. For Michael Page, MVP, why did he need to do that? Maybe just to help bare knuckle fighting out in London to get popular. Their debut, why not? You throw a lot of money at a star who could draw a native. But Michael Perry in victory, to say he's one of the baddest bare knuckle fighters in bare knuckle fighting history. We see what next for that. How long will MVP recover before he gets into the octagon with Bellator? It'll be interesting to see there. I'll give you a quick rundown. You got Connor Tierney defeat Joe Ellimore in unanimous decision, 49-43, 50-46, 50-45. Michael Chile defeats Sam Shoemaker in the second round, and actually the first round, 2-minute knockout. You got James Limry take on Taylor Goodjohn, a unanimous decision. So we get James winning that one. Jake Bossman beats Chris Fishward in a TKO in the second round, 1:58. You also got David Rounds, Ash Griffin got a TKO in 0.40 seconds in the second round, and a lot of TKOs, a lot of finishes. You only had 1, 2, three to the scorecards out of the card. The rest were all TKOs, knockouts. You had a doctor stoppage in Robert Cunningham and Brett May. So all in all, for bare knuckle fighting, had a really, really, really good debut in London, and you could see that promotion will be returning there. They had great results there. So that is the bare knuckle fighting. We're a little bit of off topic with MMA Weekly. I know the guys will allow me to speak on this. We had PFL on. Of course, no one could beat this lady. Kayla Harris defeat Martina Jikidova via submission on arm triangle choke in the first round, and 3:17 in the first round. She's unstoppable. Kayla Harris is unstoppable. Maybe her time in PFL is kind of coming to a conclusion. Maybe she'll want to fight Chris Cyborg now that Amanda Nunes won her title. But I'll leave the MMA talk and breakdown to the guys, Austin and Chef Dan. Thank you for allowing me to do this quick video on their program. Just wanted to go over any of the matches there on the PFL. Brandon Longname defeat Chris Wade and via unanimous decision, 30-27 on 3 judges' scorecards. You got Larissa Pacheco beat Olena Kolonowski in a TKO the first round, just with a vicious punch. Striking. She just won on a striking. And you have Bubba Jenkins defeat Ridu Carudo via submission, a rear naked choke, and that was in the first round, and 1:49 in the first round. You had Dakota Devicha defeat Hansa Jabber via submission. Also, good, dirty fighting, dirty boxing with the striking in the first round with just under a minute, just 58 seconds in, not even a minute, and Dakota gets that nice victory. Simone Power defeat Io Powell via TKO with leg kicks. You want to see some good leg kicks there? I would advise you to tweet that. Go to the second round, 1:56 to stoppage. Some vicious leg kicks, but he just started the whole fight with leg kicks and just added up. And boy, when they tell you to block those leg kicks, don't take unnecessary leg kicks. Watch that match there. So, we had some qualifiers. You had you had Marcini Held defeat Miles Price via submission with a guillotine, and that was at 2:37 in the second round. You also had Abraham Bali defeat Louis Sutherland via unanimous decision, 30-27 on 3 judges' scorecard. I didn't see the qualifiers. That's why I'm giving you the results there. But all in all, I will catch that as on ESPN. If you have ESPN Plus, I would advise you to go check it out, like I will. We have some boxing now. We have some boxing. You know me, I love to cover boxing, but boxing got a little bit shady with us on the program. So we kind of gave you a little bit of a shoulder, but I love the boxing so much that I got to at least talk about the heavyweights. Out in Saudi Arabia, you had Usyk versus Joshua in a rematch there. The champion wins. Usyk beats Joshua, although Anthony Joshua looked much better in this match, in this fight. He wins via split decision, 113-115. Scores it for Joshua and both judges. One judge had a 115-113, 116-112 in split decision to Usyk and retains the title. Where does Joshua goes here from next? We don't know. He is still a draw. If you're telling me you're going to get Anthony Joshua taking on maybe Deontay Wilder, I think you could sell money. You could sell. That's a big price fight because both are coming off of some. You remember the losses here to Tyson Fury for Wilder, and now Joshua here in this one. If you tell me they're going to see that, I'm invested. I will watch that. We'll see how that goes. You also had Clayton Smith, Mathieu Brulik. Smith beats Brulik by a knockout in 1:33 in the fourth round. And, of course, we have some more boxing around, and a fight that was here in my home state of Florida in the Hard Rock Casino in Fort Lauderdale. You have Figueroa taking Lipnitz, and Figueroa wins this one. Figueroa wins with a body punch, retain his title. Wow. That's for the super lightweight title eliminator, but he also retains it. He eliminates Sergey, and man, what a good fight there in Fort Lauderdale on the Hard Rock. Boy, I wish I would have had tickets to go. I would have made a weekend out of that and would have enjoyed it myself. I love good fights. You had Alberto Palero Bata Makadev in a 12-round super lightweight for a vacant WBA super title, and of course wins. Good matches, good fights here, up and down. We have one more boxing card to go for. I don't want to take the guys only giving me a few minutes here. I don't want to take more than the time that I need. You had Navarte up against for a world featherweight championship against Baez, one of the top up and coming Mexican fighters. Man, the card was from San Diego, California. Really good there fight. This one, I did not catch it. I do know that we have the winner is Navarte winning. Also a body shot knockout. So let's take a look and see there. That is boxing from me, from the BX Sports Jedi Kev, just giving you the results and the winners of those main event cards. And of course, don't forget to keep watching us here on MMA Weekly with Austin Chef Dan. Please like and subscribe. Follow us on all the platforms, the audio platform. You know where it is, Anchor, Google, Apple, iHeartRadio, Amazon, Spreaker. You know it. You got it. Spotify. And back to you guys. Thank you, Austin and Chef Dan, for allowing me to do this Combat Sports Weekly update. I am the BX Sports Jedi Kev, the one on the watch along. Check out us on the Heel of the Ring podcast. We break down the WWE, AEW, anything that's professional wrestling here on the BX Sports Jedi Network. And we'll see you later, guys. May the fights be with you always.
Oh, can't hear you, Austin.
Sorry there, my mic was muted, but I was saying that's the Combat Sports breakdown from my dad. Anything you want to mention real quick before talk about UFC 278?
No, he was absolutely right in that Anthony Joshua definitely looked better, but still couldn't get the job done. And I don't know. It just I don't know where he goes now. I don't know what happens now with him.
Yeah, I mean that post fight in tirade was just bizarre. I haven't seen it. Just go on YouTube, Google, and look it up because
I only saw bits and pieces of it. I didn't really see the full thing, so I got to check it out.
The full thing was just, I mean, it takes more strength. Strength when you fight takes skill. What strength? He said something like that. What skill you have? Character, things like that. It was just like he had a temper tantrum basically. He lost it after the decision. Like even he did apologize, but it was just the post-fight interview was just a sight to behold with Joshua and Usyk. It was one of those things, and also PFL. I mean, Kayla Harrison wins. Hopefully she can fight some better competition soon for Kayla Harrison. She's talented, don't get me wrong, but it's like we could see her in Cyborg and we didn't see it. So like, damn.
I'm not excited to see Kayla Harrison fights, not because of her, but because I know she's not getting the best of the best at the PFL.
Right, exactly.
I know you're not. So at that point, you kind of never mind. I'm not gonna say that.
Although I will give PFL some credit for Shane Burgos. We forgot to talk about it last week. He did sign for the UFC. That's a big sign for them. Dana White didn't admit that the UFC messed up and now re-signed him. Great sign for PFL. Burgos 2 fights, winning streak. He's still in his prime, talented. But he's concerned going to 155. So that'd be interesting to see Shane Burgos at 155 next year in PFL when the tournament starts. Can't wait to see Shane Burgos. Definitely talk about when he fights in PFL.
Yeah,
but
definitely gonna watch that.
Yeah, definitely. And my dad already mentioned the podcasting platforms are on, so thank you for shouting that out. Let's get the UFC 278 this past Saturday, Salt Lake City, Utah. First pay-per-view in Salt Lake City. The second event in Utah, I believe, for the UFC. Yeah, second one. And then it was the main event between Kamaru Usman and Leon Edwards for the welterweight championship. As Leon Edwards posed a miracle knockouts, under a minute to go in the 5th round against Kamaru Usman to become the, as you see Usman knocked out as Herb Dean steps in and Edwards walking off knowing that he won. And I think that's not Joe Rogan in the tie. I know Rogan was wearing a black tie, but that wasn't him in the background. And as Leon Edwards becomes your new welterweight champion, the second fighter from England to become a UFC champion. However, Leon's the first Jamaican-born fighter to become UFC champion. As Leon Edwards originally from Jamaica, but moves a kid to Birmingham, England. And this is a picture of him afterwards with the belts, realizing that the dream he realizing they achieved his dream. I mean, there was an interview of him, not an interview, but like footage of him, like afterwards, talking to his mom on his phone. He was just breaking down, getting emotional, knowing that he did it and he won the title. And I don't blame him. It was very emotional. This is a guy who was on a 10-fight unbeaten streak, a guy who avenged a loss to Kamaru Usman. His last loss was to Usman back in 2015. And this is a guy who had a rough childhood. He moved from Jamaica to England because of situations with his family and rough life they were living. And I also found out his dad also got murdered at 13, so he went through a lot as a kid. And he took up MMA to stop himself from going from a bad lifestyle, and then he was able to become UFC champion, especially considering he was losing the fight too. He was down 3-1. He was a minute away from losing that fight, and Usman was winning that 5th round as well. He pulled a great head kick, and I gotta give his coaches credit, because to me, Leon Edwards' coaches are like the MVP of that fight, because they were getting after him, because Leon Edwards didn't fought the best fights. He was kind of, what's the word, lethargic? Am I saying it right?
Lethargic, yeah.
Lethargic. I mean, it looked like he was trying to fight to survive a lot of times in the fights, and his coaches were yelling at him to stop feeling sorry for himself, get in there, get the F up, all that stuff. They were basically, yelling at him, pushing his buttons to get him to fight more, and it works. I mean, Leon Edwards even says coaches push the right button, and if you watch, like, there's footage of his corner calling for the head kick, and then a second later, Leon Edwards does it. Especially watch Henry Cejudo's reaction, because Henry Cejudo was sitting behind Leon Edwards' coaches, and you hear his coaches yelling head kick, and then a second later he does it and gets the knockout. It's a great victory for Leon Edwards, great considering the circumstances. He was down 3-1, getting dominated by Usman. He won the first round, Edwards, but Usman won 2, 3, and 4 convincingly. Usman was mixing the wrestling and the striking very well. Usman knows that he has the clear wrestling advantage. He wasn't going to try outstrike him, make a striking matchup, because that's not, because he's going to lose that fight. Even though striking's improved, but still he did the right thing at Usman. But Edwards came in with a great head kick after faking Usman he threw like a feint that forced Usman to block, do this, like move his head this way towards his right. As Edwards calling for the left high kick. It was like I said, I mean, great comeback victory for Leon Edwards, and despite the fact Usman was winning that fight. And Dan, what are your thoughts on this fight, Chef Dan?
It was a good victory for Leon Edwards, but as good as a victory is, it just, if anything, it just reaffirms to me that a trilogy has to happen. Because I know the scorecards aren't out there now, but I guarantee if they were to put, which UFC usually does by now, at the very least, if they were to put out the scorecards for some of the fights, then I'm pretty sure the scorecard would have said that Usman was winning this fight convincingly. He was cruising on his way to a decision victory, but Leon got the finish, and that's the important thing there. So now, going forward to the next match, is Usman going to try and go for the finish, or is he going to, come in with the same game plan? We really don't know. It was a great performance by Edwards. I think a great performance by Usman. People, as much as, he lost in that one moment can take it all away, but it's nothing to take away from Kamaru Usman's great performance. And yeah, it just lets me know that a trilogy needs to happen for this fight, because Leon Edwards looked all but good for like a few moments in the first round and the moment to decisively win it. But other than that, Kamaru Usman essentially dominated the entire fight.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. He did dominate that fight. And like I mentioned earlier, he was about to win that 5th round as well. Usman, that 5th round, Edwards was fighting a lot better than he did in rounds 2, 3, and 4. But still, Usman was going to win that round also. And like I said, I cannot give enough credit to his coaches because a lot of times you see bad cornerman work where the coaches tell the fighter they're up, 2-0, or you're doing well, or he or she's panicking, and it's just not the case, and the fighter loses because of bad coaching, aka Rose Namajunas and Pat Barry from May when she lost her belt in that terrible fight, and other examples too. But his coaches really, told him the right things, and it caused Edward to do what he's supposed to do. He listened to his coaches, and they called for a great plan. They called for a kick at the right time, and it worked. But Usman, he definitely showcased that he's still, he's still one of the best fighters in the world. He showcased that with this fight on Saturday. And one thing I do want to mention is I think the altitude play a factor in this whole card. Because they mentioned Salt Lake City is on higher altitude. It seemed like a lot of fighters were kind of having trouble, and it wasn't. And not just this fight, but the co-main event especially. We'll talk about a little later. You really saw the effect of the altitude, and I do kind of wonder how much the altitude will play in when they have the next fight, probably in England, where it's not going to be high altitude. Because let's be honest, the third fight will probably require in England, but.
Oh, let's talk about the co-main event then, and the altitude and how it essentially gassed both fighters. And we even saw that throughout the entire card. But really, in this co-main event between Paulo Costa and Luke Rockhold, Paulo Costa wins this fight, the unanimous decision. A lot of the judges had it 29-28 or even 30-27, and I was in no disagreement there. Paulo Costa looked like the better fighter. Paulo Costa, yeah, he did look like just a younger, better fighter in better shape, but at the same time, Paulo gassed easily. And he gassed easier in a way that I didn't expect him to. He kind of gassed by the first round. And he gassed by the first round. Luke Rockhold had gassed by the first round. So essentially, we saw 2 to 3 rounds of a slugfest between these two, where these guys were tired and they were just throwing whatever they could muster up. And credit to Luke Rockhold because he put on a great performance, even though he was out for God knows how long, 3 years?
3 years,
He was out for 3 years. His leg almost could have potentially been amputated, but he still showed up to fight, and it was a great fight on his behalf. So it was very entertaining. This co-main event was, I think, by far the most entertaining fight of the night.
Yeah, it was the most entertaining fight of the night. You're absolutely right. And Paulo Costa gassed out pretty, at the end of the first round. And also Luke gassed out too by the first round. I mean, the image of him on his knees, hunched over, standing after the end of the first round. Rogan mentioned it's not a great sight. It's not a great sight to see that happening. And now, granted, both of them made some body shots. Both of them. I mean, Paulo drew some body shots, body punches when they clinched, and when he got on top of Luke, he was throwing some body shots. But Luke drew some body kicks that were nice. One thing about Luke Rockhold, if you ever watch him fight, he was known for throwing the left body kick, and he drew it several times to the point where even Paulo's inviting it, which not the smartest idea because I think it might contribute more to his fatigue. Also, the altitude played a big part, being Salt Lake City, which when you fight in places like Salt Lake City, Denver, Mexico City, fighters tend to gas out easier compared to a place where it's sea level, like Florida, for example, a very sea level place where I live, and New York's kind of sea level too, kind of. For example, I'm using those places as an example. Yeah. And both guys, the altitude really affected them. Rockhold and Paulo Costa, but it's back and forth. I mean, Paulo Costa looked like the younger fighter, the more crisp fighter. He was just one step ahead, but Rockhold didn't quit. I mean, he could have quit several times, but didn't. I mean, Rockhold's nose was busted open. I mean, not busted open, it was busted. I mean, blood just coming out throughout the whole fights. I mean, there's that famous third round where a minute to go, Luke Rockhold, actually 30 seconds, Rockhold versus position, gets on top of Costa and just starts rubbing his blood over Costa's face. I mean, it was pretty it was a bizarre, memorable moment. It's one of those moments you're never going to forget. Rockhold doing that to Paulo Costa, and Paulo mentions one of the more disgusting things that happened to him. And Rockhold went out like a samurai. If you know that's why. And this fight was fight of night, by the way, rightfully so, deserved it. No fight was more entertaining than this fight. Rockhold and Costa. And like I mentioned, Rockhold went out, fought like a samurai. If you remember, before he fought Michael Bisping the second time, UFC 189, defended his belts, he called himself a samurai. And people always mock Rockhold for that, say it jokingly, because Rockhold was a guy that you could easily root against and things like that. He'd been knocked out, but in a fight against power puncher Paulo Costa, he didn't get knocked out. He didn't quit. He just kept fighting through. Got bad nose, got taken down, ground and pound a couple of times, got beat up, but kept going. It even hurt Costa several times. There's the third round we threw that what become very memorable, the FU punch where he said FU twice and just threw a right that landed that rocked Paulo Costa. I mean, this was a great performance for Luke Rockhold in a loss. He lost the fight clearly and rightfully so. And Paulo Costa was a good performance, get a victory. His first victory in 3 years. His last victory was August of 2019 against Yoel Romero, Paulo Costa. Before that, then he lost to Israel in 2020 for the title. Lost last year to Marvin Vettori in their fights, so this is a great victory for him, for Paulo Costa. But back to Luke Rockhold. If you're gonna lose this, it's probably the best way to lose a fight like this, where you survive, but also you do damage to your opponents with body kicks, some leg kicks, and some lefts or rights that land that hurt Costa. And you reverse the position in the final 30 seconds. And for a loss, you can't go out any better in a loss than like that. In a loss, that's what I'm saying.
You can't go out any better. Rockhold decided to retire that night, and I don't know if you caught the news on Twitter, but he was removed from the UFC roster today. So Luke Rockhold is officially retired. And you're absolutely right. Even though it was a loss, it was a fight of the night. Most guys want to go out on top. They want to at least, go out on top. But if not, they want to at least give the fans a lasting memory, something to say, hey, I remember, I had to be there for this guy's last fight. It was an event. It was a moment. I'm glad I was able to watch that. Salute to Luke Rockhold.
Yeah, exactly. And it's kind of like I'm thinking of Dan Henderson when he retired against Michael Bisping for the middleweight title. We're in a close competitive fight where he dropped Bisping 3 different times in the first 2 rounds. It was very close fights. Kind of like that, where you remember Dan Henderson's last fight, which was against Bisping for the title. And this is going to be a case that you remember Rockhold's last fight, the crazy back and forth fight between Paulo Costa and co-main event at pay-per-view. And what better way to go out if in losing like that? Most guys when they retire, they lay on their back. They retire, lay on their back or on their face. Either getting knocked out. That just happens too many times in MMA, in combat sports in general. So at least Rockhold went out on his shield, wasn't finished. And Rockhold, we mentioned, had a glassy chin. His chin was not great, but he didn't get knocked out by a power puncher, Paulo Costa. Mm-hmm. So it was a good, I guess, moral victory for him, if you want to call it that. And Rockhold is a legend, a legit legend. This guy was Strikeforce champion, middleweight champion, and became UFC middleweight champion. So in 2 major MMA organizations, Strikeforce, and then when they got in afterwards in the UFC, after Strikeforce got bought by the UFC, he went on to become champion in both both organizations. So Luke Rockhold is a legit legend, even though at the end it didn't exactly go well, but the last fight was very memorable. And there's a guy who, at one point, Luke Rockhold was on my most disliked fighters list because he was cocky as a MF for Luke Rockhold. he was skillful. He was very skillful, but at the same time, he came across very arrogant, very cocky. But he had a great performance here, and he wasn't as cocky as he used to be leading up to his fights. Now, Rockhold mentioned he had a lot going on. You mentioned yourself that Rockhold almost had his leg amputated. I know Rockhold talked about that. I know something happened with him and a woman. I'm not going to. Well, he talked about it, but something happened there. And then there's the fact that he quit drinking alcohol. So Rockhold been through a lot and recovered, and was able to, I guess, go back to fighting. And one thing that really brought him happiness, but one thing that he definitely enjoyed, and he was able to leave on his own terms, not after suffering something bad. So congratulations to Luke Rockhold for a legendary career, as he's the last of what I call 4 kings of AKA to retire. If you remember, AKA had Habib, Daniel Cormier, Cain Velasquez, and Luke Rockhold. All 4 became UFC champions. and he's the last of that group of guys to retire from AKA. So, I mean, it just shows how great AKA has been. And like I said, congrats to Luke Rockhold for a legendary career. And Paulo Costa, I mean, great performance by him. He has one more fight in his contract. Leading up to this fight, we thought this was his final fight of contract, but he has one more fight left on his contract at UFC. So we can see what they do next with Paulo Costa, the UFC.
Yep. From there, we could move on from that fight to the next fight on the card. This one, very high implications as far as like for a title contendership. Merab Dvalishvili versus Jose Aldo. Merab Dvalishvili wins this via unanimous decision. This one was tough to watch, man. This one was very tough to watch. It was tough to watch because going into the fight, you knew what Aldo had to do, and he didn't do it. I didn't understand why he didn't try and bring the pressure to Merab, because he knew the one thing I knew is that if he stood back and let Merab dictate the fight, Merab was going to go into grappling. He was going to hold him, and he was exactly what he did all 3 rounds of the fight, which was hold Jose Aldo in the clinch or in positions where he kind of he didn't get takedown all the way, but he was able to hold him in a compromising position and just land little shots to add up points. It was a judge's fight, really. That's what it was.
Yeah, this fight sucked. It's freaking this fight and this Aldo, I wish Aldo would have done more. You're right. He let Merab pressure him, and that was a mistake because we all know Merab is not going to win stand and trade with his opponents. He's going to take.
Not.
His striking's not great. I mean, that's not. You saw his last fight. Go ahead.
It's not to discount Merab to say like he can't strike. It's just that the level of striker that Jose Aldo is, if you force this guy to strike, 9 times out of 10, Jose Aldo was going to win this fight.
Exactly, yeah. And Merab, basically Merab was able to just control him, hold him against the cage, throw some little punches, some knees to the thigh, and he was only 16 takedowns. I mean, all those takedown defense is legendary. It showed there, but Aldo didn't do anything. He might have won the first round, but even then, he still lost the fights, and this fight frustrated me. From Merab's performance, I wish Merab would have done more. He should have done more. I mean, that bothered me too. One thing I don't like is when guys get controlling their opponents and don't do more. Like, they just do enough to survive. And Aldo for not doing more. I understand it's hard for Aldo to do a lot. Aldo has a hard time, doing something because Merab's controlling him. But at the same time, Aldo knows that he should have done. Aldo should have known he should have done more. I don't know why he thought he won the fight. That was frustrating too. Jose Aldo think he won the fights when he clearly didn't win. I don't know what his coach were telling him. Go ahead.
No, there was a bevy of mixed messages. It's a bevy of mixed messages. I don't know how you thought you won that fight, all the way to Merab hugging you and you saying this is your last fight and you're gonna retire. So that means you were gonna hold on to the number 3 spot and then retire if you won anyways? Kind of seemed like Jose Aldo came in there with a half-baked plan.
I don't know, and that bothered me too. Merab saying that he's doing an Ariel Hornet show and said that's what Aldo told him. It's like, shouldn't Aldo be the one to announce that, not you, Merab? Also, especially it's his moments. I mean, but it's just, it's like let Aldo do that. But yeah, you're right. I mean, if this was going to be his last fight, did he go in half-baked? You would think you want to go on top. And also, why would it be your last fight? If you beat Merab, you're fighting for the title next. Why not
fighting for the title next? Yeah. You're number 3 ranked bantamweight in the world.
Exactly.
This is what I didn't understand. How did Aldo see such a wide distance between him and the next competitor? It's like, okay, TJ Dillashaw got the next shot, yeah, but TJ Dillashaw fought a very game Corey Sandhagen, and the fight was kind of debatable.
Yeah,
and this was Corey Sandhagen who, I'm not gonna lie, he was next. He was next.
Yep.
I really don't understand it. It didn't make any sense. It felt like we didn't get all the details there.
No, we didn't. We really didn't, and this was a tough fight to watch. It was a bad fight. They really, thank goodness the main event had the knockout, and then the co-main event was what it was, because this did put a damper in the card. I mean, Merab's performance, and then Aldo thinking he won, not doing more. It's just, the biggest winner of this fight. It's not Merab. It's Chito Vera, who's in the crowd supporting Luke Rockhold. Because this guarantees Chito. In my opinion, Chito should fight the winner of Sterling Dillashaw. Because Aldo already beat Chito, and that was the one day holding him back. And I think with his performance, Merab winning anyway, it seems like to me it makes sense that Chito's going to fight the winner of Dillashaw and Sterling.
Because I know a lot of people were saying they were fearful that Aldo wasn't right for the division because he was winning all these fights, but he was not getting finishes. And it's like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because Merab came in there knowing a win's a win. So it really doesn't make any sense. But yeah, you're absolutely right. Out of these two that fought that night, Chito Vera was the biggest winner.
Right, exactly. And yeah, he was the biggest winner. He should get the winner of Dillashaw and Sterling next. To me, it should be him. No one else.
Yeah,
I mean,
Chito's sitting pretty.
Right, exactly. And also, now you mentioned finishes and you mentioned Aldo, and it's like that's another thing that bothered me about the Aldo performance. Marlon's last fight, he almost got finished by Marlon Rice, and Marlon Rice didn't gas out. He would have been finished. Aldo has a good gas tank. He was just going out to like Marlon. He probably could have finished Merab, as Merab showed. He's susceptible to power punchers.
Dude, I'm really like, especially watching that, and I know Marlon Moraes he's a clean striker, but when he gets ahead of steam, all that technicality goes out the window because he believes in his power a lot. That was what Marlon Moraes did, and salute to him. He just recently retired. A great fighter, gave us a lot of entertaining moments, but that's who Marlon Moraes was. You mean to tell me you couldn't technically bring the pressure and put Merab in a situation? Never mind.
Yeah, so it's not a good fight.
This was not an entertaining fight.
Yep.
Let's move on to the next fight. This was the ladies in, what was this, in the featherweight division?
No, I think it was might be was it strawweight?
No, bantamweight, women's bantamweight division.
Right.
Lucie Pudilova versus Wu Yanan. Lucie Pudilova wins this fight in the second round. Elbows from the back mount. Those elbows were a little. You know what? She got the victory. But some of them, I remember watching this fight thinking some of them hit the back of Wu Yanan's head.
Right. I gotta give Lucie credit because she had a clear disadvantage in striking rates. Wu Yan seemed like the better striker too, and she took Wu down. And once she took Wu Yan down, Wu Yan really didn't have much for the ground. Mm-hmm. That was her biggest weakness. And she was in dominant position in the first round. In the second round, she take her down, and as she took her down, she was going for I believe submissions and ground and pound, and to the point where Wu Yan gave up bad position, and just led to and she was able to find Wu Yan and land those elbows. Even though some of those elbows you mentioned might have been the back of the head, which is good performance by Lucie Pudilova, recognizing her weakness in using her strength, using some of her advantage, which is ground game. So you gotta give her a lot of credit there. Go ahead.
You know what's funny? Like even when I don't remember who the referee was, but when they broke up the fight, even I thought for a minute he was breaking it up because of repeated elbows to the back of the head. It wasn't really clean that, Lucie had won the fight until the ref had, did the signal. But even then, I thought he was pulling her off because of, the elbows to the back of the head.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I guess a little controversial, but a little bit.
But at the same time, Lucie got the job done. It's kind of like that Cyril Gane fight where he, I don't remember who it was that he fought.
Junior Santos?
Was it? Yes, it was Junior Dos Santos that he hit in the back of the head, and Junior had to come up to him after the fight, like throughout the fight time. Yo, you hit me in the back of the head.
Right. I think he did at the time, but I gotta go back and watch it. I only saw it at the time. Like, well, I haven't gone back and watched that fight, but I know what you mean. But yeah, good performance for Lucie Pudilova. You know, I was surprised it's on the main card. I honestly didn't think this should have been the main card. I think the heavyweight fight should have been the main card because it was supposed to be. But we'll talk. I'll talk about that a little bit later. But good performance though from Lucie Pudilova though. Great performance.
Yeah, but I mean, I understand why they pushed this one up to the main card. While you still have a female fight on the card, like push it up to the main card because I'm not gonna lie, Miranda Maverick and Shayna Young, that could have potentially been on the main card. But you know, that got canceled due to an injury.
Okay, I guess. I guess we can move on and talk about the first fight on the card between Tyson Pedro and Harry Hunsucker as Tyson Pedro wins TKO in the first round, 1 minute 5 seconds. Tyson Pedro had a great performance, dominance, hit him with a
vicious body kick.
Yes, a vicious body kick. He threw. I forgot. He threw a left hook or something that hurt on Hunsucker's orbital bone, and then he threw the body kick. And once he landed that, it was over. And I enjoyed a good body kick, and that was a very great performance. Nice body kick, easy victory for him. Back-to-back good first round knockout TKOs for Tyson Pedro after being 3 years off from fighting.
Wait, not only that, but see, there's certain type of body kicks I enjoy. Like when Giga Chikadze throws with the curve in his leg, and he goes and he tries to, you know, his toes. I don't know if you ever watched it sometimes. He clenches his toes up to be a knuckles so that he could go in for a curve and land right there in the side, digging on the side. There's that. But to me, a really good body kick, if you can hit him in the solar plexus like Tyson did, because he kicked the front kick to the solar plexus. That's what got him folded like that. And then he went into the ground and pound. I was like, yo, when I saw that replay, I was like, yeah, that's a coup de grace right there. Kick to the solar plexus? Bro, it's hard to land that clean and get the impact you want to fold someone.
Right. It is, and that was a great knockout by Tyson Pedro. Great. I mean, he's looked good ever since going to kickboxing for his camp and returning from his 3-year layoff. Got injuries and all that, but yeah, great knockout. Like I said, I love a body kick, body punch knockout. I enjoy watching that. That was beautiful to watch. I loved it, every second of it. That was nice. Good job, Tyson Pedro. Trained with Eugene Behrman and paid off. And Harry Hunsucker lost to another Samoan. I've noticed he lost to Ty Pedro and Justin Tufa. How do you say his last name? Justin Tufa? I forgot to say his name. Tufayo? He's a Samoan guy. Tafa, my bad. I don't know where you get two from. Tafa. Yeah, I mean, three Samoan guys Harry Hunsucker's lost to. Yeah, for him, don't take any more Samoans or Polynesian guys from Australia.
Hey, you never look. You can see it. You can say it like that. One thing I'm gonna look out for is like, there was the Russian wave that came through, and then England has its wave. What if the Samoans are having their wave, huh?
They might be, but they've been for a while though.
But what if they're resurging? What if they're gonna get a resurgence and some new blood is gonna enter through? You never really know. They're
Probably,
just landing their mark on Hunsucker right now.
Hunsucker, yeah. I mean, all the Polynesians and Samoans, they're here, but it might be a new wave though. Kind of like it seems like it might be a new wave of Russians coming in, but yeah, Russian wave never stops. But yeah, great victory for Pedro. Great, very good main card exception of the third fight, the Merab and Aldo fight. But also, I had something about the main event I wanted to mention before we talk about the prelims.
I'll mention what I wanted to talk about.
Oh, what is it?
Joe Rogan, bro. Joe Rogan, I love you, man, but that was not the greatest kick in UFC history.
It was not.
Given the circumstances, still wasn't the greatest kick in UFC history. Joe, you you might have to do your own research. Do your Googles. You gotta pull out the tapes from when you were there, because you were there for a lot of good fights. Come on, Joe. That's recency bias.
I agree. I mean, Edson Barboza wheel kicking Terry Edom and Edom's body going stiff. It's top 10 KO of all time. It's top 10 historically KO. You know what I'm talking about. You think about it. It's that Edson Barboza, Terry Edom wheel kick knockouts.
Bro. There's been a lot of
that one. Anderson Silva, Vitor Belfort front kick that introduced everyone to front kicks.
Yo,
yeah, I mean,
Joe just had recency bias. He was eating some of his vitamins. What was his vitamins? Alpha Brain.
Alpha Brain, yeah.
Alpha Brain, and he was drinking some Monster Energy, and I guess that because buddy, he was selling. I wasn't buying it, but boy was he selling.
Exactly. I wasn't buying it, but I was selling. Oh yeah, I want to mention the main event. Oh, I do wonder how's Kamaru Usman going to be, because Usman lost in one of the most devastating ways you can lose. If you think about it, he was a minute away from retaining his belt, tie Anderson Silva's record for most wins in the UFC. Most consecutive wins, in UFC with 16. He was a minute away from doing that, defending his belts, and she got knocked out in a minute. Violently, too. I mean, he was stiff when he got knocked out. I do wonder how Kamaru Usman is going to respond to that.
He wasn't stiff. He folded. His body wasn't stiff. His body wasn't stiff. Nah, it wasn't stiff. I remember it wasn't stiff because he was able to get back up and talk to Herb Dean immediately. But shoot, I had a quote from him recently. But he's doing okay. He said, essentially, the gist of the quote was, "This is why I love the sport, because in this sport, something like this can happen." Leon got one off on me. Congratulations to Leon. That was a clean kick. But now he wanted a title fight in London. I'm going to give him a title fight in London. I like, congrats to Leon. I love this sport. This is where anything can happen. But I'm getting a title fight in London.
Yeah, I agree. Leon's next fight should be in London or Birmingham. They can do it because he's from Birmingham. Well, he's fights out of Birmingham, lives there. I mean, if he can do Birmingham, that'd be even better. But London definitely for Leon Edwards' title defense. Totally agree with you there. Let's talk about the prelims for UFC 278. Any prelim you want to shout out?
I unfortunately did not watch the prelims.
Okay. I do have one fight I want to talk about, and that was the heavyweight fight between Alexander Romanov and Marcin Tybura. The judges got this one wrong. This was a draw. This should have easily been a draw. First of all, Romanov dominated the first round. That's a 10-8 first round I've ever seen one. Tybura didn't. I don't think Tybura landed a single punch in that round. He didn't land a punch. Romanov took Tybura down. He picked him up twice and slammed him. Well, kind of, I think slammed him once, but like he picked up Tybura twice. We mentioned Romanov is one strong boy. He does pick up guys. He did here, and this Tybura, who's a big dude, twice picked him up. Grapple him, kind of suplexed him a little bit, and he did it twice and drew a bunch of shots at Tybura. Landed a bunch of shots that were the ref at the left Romanov slamming another opponent. I don't know who that is, but
no, that's Tybura.
That you sure? That's
Tybura. Sure? You can see the beard. That's Marcin Tybura right there.
Yeah, but I thought he was wearing red.
Was he?
I thought he was wearing red trunks. Yeah, he's wearing red trunks.
Oh, the beard was similar. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. He picked him up, slammed him, suplexed him, and almost finished the first round where Jason Herzog was checking to see if Tybura was still conscious, and he was telling him, move around, fight back, or else he's going to stop it. But unfortunately, Romanov kind of gassed himself, and Tybura was able to win the second and third round with grappling and controlling positions, landing some strikes, and things like that. And Tybura won the second third round that way, and Romanov had a clear 10-8 round. They gave the first round 10-9, and Tybura wins rounds 2 and 3. He got the victory and handed Romanov his first loss, and it was a terrible decision by the judges. I did not like it. It's just terrible. This is like top robberies of the year. This, the Josh Emmett and Calvin Kattar fight, and
Oof.
yeah, and then the one prelim. I forget the prelims from the Cheeto Vera Cruz fight last week. It was a prelim fight with heavyweights. I forget. It was a bad one. It was a Polish fighter. I forget. Like, these are like 3 like really bad like decisions that the judges got that I just didn't agree with. Like, really bad ones. This is bad. I don't know how they can give that fight to Tybura. How's that not a draw? I mean, that 10-8 was. How's that not 10-8 round 1? If those of you who saw, you know what I'm talking about. That was a clear 10-8 first round for Romanov.
I mean, the way you described it, if he was able to get all these slams off, then get him worried to that point, then that's a strong 10-8 round. I know usually they conserve the 10-8 for a knockdown or something like that, but if someone could slam you 2 or 3 times, man, that's a strong 10-8 to me.
Yeah, I agree. Twice, and he didn't do a punch. He almost got finished. Yeah, I don't understand that at all with the judges. I'm baffled by that decision from the judges, that fight. So, I'm trying to see other prelims I saw. I didn't see the rest of the prelims. I saw that. Go ahead.
I did check out the I actually did check out one other prelim fight. It was the Amir Albazi versus Francisco Figueiredo fight. That one ended very quickly. But I was surprised that Amir was able to, control the grappling exchange with Francisco the way he did. Francisco Figueiredo, isn't he a black belt jiu-jitsu artist?
I think so. I'm not sure. I'm not too sure. I know he's brothers of Davis and Figueiredo, obviously. That we know for sure. But I don't know if he's a black belt in BJJ.
Yeah, but I don't know. Maybe. Well, everyone is a black belt, but there's varying degrees of experience and whatnot. And Amir Albazi was just dominant. He kind of just took complete control of Francisco Figueiredo, and by the time he got the back, that was it, because he was systematically putting Figueiredo in traps to secure the choke. So that was a dominant fight by Amir Albazi.
I'm just trying to see if he is. It doesn't say if he is a black belt. Francisco, it doesn't say. Not too sure, but yeah, dominant performance by Amir. Good victory from him. And also, I didn't see the. I wish I could have saw the rest of the prelims. I didn't. I saw briefly the Jared Gordon and Leonardo Santos fight. Jared Gordon wins via unanimous decision. Jared Gordon just looked like the younger, a little bit faster fighter. Leonardo Santos looked his age of 42, 43. And that, based on what I saw in that prelim, it looked like that Santos maybe should probably think about hanging it up. It looked like it to me. But yeah, good performance by Jared Gordon. I know he called out Paddy Pimblett because Paddy Pimblett gave his speech after his fights, and Gordon liked it. Was very moved by it. He wants to fight Paddy in order to help we bring awareness for men in a crisis, which I mean, that's a good reason too. And part of me kind of like to see him and Paddy next for that reason alone. I don't know if they're gonna do it, but that's not a bad idea. Paddy and Jared Gordon.
I mean, but then again, Paddy's also been talking to Terrence
McKinney.
Terrence McKinney about a fight there. They've been going back and forth on Twitter, and they've kind of got the world excited to see that. So we don't know. We'll see. Yeah,
we'll see. Also, UFC don't do the Gronk coverage again. The prelims with the Gronks. I'm not sure you saw this, but the prelims, like, you can watch it on ABC, like, just with the regular commentary, and then ESPN you have the Gronk, the Gronk brothers, Rob Gronkowski, his brothers, and his dad with like fighters or like celebrities, like talking about the fights and like other things. And I did not enjoy that with the Gronks. I did not. A lot of people enjoyed it.
I didn't check it out, but it made plenty of news throughout the week as Gronk was able to get a story out of Dana White, and it served its purpose. And if it was able to do that and it was able to attract numbers, then they're probably gonna do it again, but not so soon. But they are definitely gonna do it again.
A lot of people didn't like. I didn't enjoy it. I don't know why I watched it do that. Shame on me. That's my fault. I should have not done that. That's That's my fault. But I did hear that story, the Dana White story about Brady and the Raiders. Yeah, but overall, this was a good pay-per-view. His new champion from England and from Jamaica too, first Jamaican-born champion. Yeah, retirement fight, Luke Rockhold, and a great performance for Luke, and good performance from Paulo Costa. Definitely a good performance after losing his last 2 fights. He needed a victory more so than a good performance. I mean, he had good performances from Marvin Vettori. They had good opener with Tyson Pedro, win it easily and very quickly, and also Lucie Pudilova got a good victory. In her pay-per-view debut. I mean, her fight was scheduled for the pay-per-view, and it was, and she made the most for it.
Yeah. Congratulations to Lucie Pudilova.
Right. Good. Oh yeah, good card. Good, memorable pay-per-view. The crowd was really into it. I know Rogan mentioned how loud the building was from getting in, how the crowd was into it.
It's crazy. Some fans were like, "Please never do a Salt Lake City card again," because all these fighters were gassed and the fights were, a little bit like they just weren't enjoyable because some guys didn't have the gas tank to be up there. But I think if you are gonna if they got that much of a draw from the crowd, then Dana White has to go back there. It's just he has to be more selective with what fighters are going to be on that card.
Yeah, it's true. I think they're going back to Salt Lake City. They with the reception they got, and the fact that the arena was sold out, and the Cormier and Grogan really putting over, they kind of have to go back to Salt Lake City. I think they should. Mm-hmm. Also, I mean, if that's the case, then we'll probably never get a Mexico City UFC event again.
No,
because Aldo affected that. Yeah, Aldo affected that. I mean, look at Cain Velasquez and Frizio Verdum in the main event of that pay-per-view when Verdum won the title. It affected Cain badly, altitude. Also, Denver. I mean, you tell me UFC is not going to Denver next year for the 30th anniversary show when the first show was in Denver, Colorado? I mean, basically you're saying, I'm saying if you're saying no Salt Lake City card, you're basically saying no card in altitude. That means no Mexico City cards, no Denver cards, and that's just not going to happen. That wouldn't make sense.
Yeah. I mean,
go ahead.
Yeah, that's essentially it. I wasn't, in agreement with no more Salt Lake City cards. It's just the main event, both fighters were prepared for that. The co-main event, both fighters weren't so prepared for that, but we were fortunate to get what we did out of that. But the rest of the card, those guys, even though some people got certain finishes here and there, the fights that went a distance, you clearly saw that it wore a toll on them. So I think Dana just next time has to be careful with which fighters he's getting in these high altitude places.
I agree. Yeah. Well, this weekend there's no UFC. UFC's off, and next weekend they return going to Paris, France for the first time. Next week we'll break down that card, the Paris card, and there's no Bellator, no PFL this week, but there is a major MMA organization this weekend, One FC or One Championship. This Friday in Singapore, I think Singapore Indoor Arena. I know it's in Singapore. It's a rematch between Adriano Morales and Demetrius Johnson for the Flyweight World Championship, live on Amazon Prime. If you have Amazon Prime in the United States, you can get this fight. It's live from the Singapore Indoor Stadium, and I'm excited for this. Demetrius Johnson, who a lot of people can make the case is the greatest fighter of all time. He definitely has a case to be made, going against Adrian Morales. Now, for those of you who don't remember, last year, Adrian Morales knocked out Demetrius Johnson, becoming the first fighter to knock him out. Caught with an uppercut, then as Demetrius Johnson's on the ground trying to recover and move out the way, he threw a knee that knocked him out. Now, One FC, knees on the ground and opponent are legal, not like in the United States where if you fight in the United States, regardless of Bellator, UFC, PFL, you can't throw knee on the ground opponents. And he was able to knock out Demetrius Johnson. Now, I prefer that rule. I wish that those were legal in United States MMA. I know some people don't agree with that, but that's just me. Now, Adrian Morales is defending his belt against Demetrius Johnson. Morales' last fight, he got a knockout victory in his last fight. Now, Demetrius Johnson got a submission victory in his last fight in a weird mixed rules fight against the Muay Thai fighter. I forget his name. Roy Tang. I can't pronounce his last name. It was the first round. First round, it was Demetrius survived the Muay Thai rules, and then the second round he took he took down Roy Tank and submitted him, Demetrius Johnson, won that fight. And I'm excited for this fight because I like Demetrius Johnson. I always thought Demetrius Johnson got unfairly criticized for being boring. I never thought he was boring. I always thought he was a guy who went out there and fought, tried to compete, tried to finish guys. Sometimes wasn't able to. I mean, the guy when he had opportunity to submit someone, he would submit people. I mean, Demetrius Johnson, in my opinion, has the greatest submission in MMA history, the suplex armbar to Ray Borg back in October 2017. And he's won with several submission attempts and won. He's done very well ever since being traded from the UFC to ONE. I mean, let's be honest, ONE FC won that trade. UFC got Ben Askren and Demetrius Johnson went to ONE, and ONE FC won that trade. Ugh, I keep saying I keep saying one a lot. I'm sorry if it sounds like I'm saying one a lot, but I'm interested to see how does Demetrius Johnson do, considering he got taken down by Morales, and Morales did use his weight to hold him down for a little bit. DJ was able to get up towards the end, if I remember correctly. And also, I did deal with the power of Adrian Morales, because Morales got a lot of power in his punches. This is a guy who's got, he's got a decent amount of power, particularly, and he did drop Demetrius Johnson to the uppercut. So I do wonder how he deals with that, considering Morales is a big guy. If you ever see him compared to Demetrius Johnson, Morales is a big boy for 135. And by the way, the flyweights is 135. It's not 125, so they're fighting 10 pounds above the UFC flyweight weight limit. So I do want to point that out. I'm excited to see Demetrius Johnson can win another belt to another organization and make a strong case for him being the greatest fighter of all time. Or if Adrian Morales can beat the legend twice. I mean, if he does that, what does that do for his career, being Demetrius Johnson twice and being the ONE champion of flyweight? I mean, I'm excited for this fight. This is definitely going to be. This should be a very entertaining fight, in my opinion. It's Friday night on Amazon Prime. If you have Amazon Prime, you can check this fight. Kind of, ONE Championship now on Amazon Prime. It's not all their fights, but some don't be airing in the United States on Amazon Prime. So if you got that, you can definitely see the ONE Championship fights. And I'm looking forward to see Demetrius Johnson and Mighty Mouse compete again.
Yeah, most definitely. If I have the time on Friday, I'll check that one out.
Right. I think it starts at 8 p.m. Eastern in the United States. I don't know. It says U.S. prime time, but I'm not sure what times the card starts. I'll let you guys know. I'll probably write in the description what time the event starts if I find out. Also, ONE's got also Muay Thai fights, and I think they have like submission fights. I know one championship's not just mixed martial arts; it's all martial arts. So sometimes they have mixed martial arts, they have Muay Thai, they have kickboxing, etc. I know they have like different styles of martial arts in this card, so that's why I can't break down the rest of the card, because I frankly it's different martial arts that I'm not too familiar with at all.
Yeah. All right. That's the ONE FC card that you have. Is there any other news you want to bring to the table?
Yes, briefly. UFC 279 is the next pay-per-view, and it was announced on UFC 278 that Tony Ferguson is going to be fighting the Leech, Li Jiang, in the co-main event of that card at 170. Tony Ferguson moving up. My thing is this: why? Tony Ferguson's got some bad management or bad management or something. Why are you taking a fight with the Leech? You just got knocked out 3 months ago by Michael Chandler by a freaking front kick. And now you're fighting against the Leech, who's a power puncher, who just won his last fight against a very game Muslim Salikov, who took no damage. I don't get this. I don't get the matchup. Why is Tony taking this fight? And why is management even asked him for this? Why does management not try to go for a different fight? I think both people are to blame, is management and Tony Ferguson, for accepting this fight, but I don't like this for Tony Ferguson, going against the Leech a few months after getting knocked out at 170.
Tony doesn't have management. He makes his own decisions.
Really? I thought. Yeah. Oh, you're right. That's right. That's what.
He doesn't have management. He makes his own decisions, and he doesn't do rehab either. He does his own rehab. Tony really is his own man. So if this is something that was possibly floated to Tony and he thought it's a good idea, we don't know. Maybe Tony thinks he could put on the weight and put on a great performance. I don't know. I'm excited to see it. It's Tony Ferguson back in the ring.
Alex. I like
And
Tony
he looked
Ferguson.
really, really good against Michael Chandler.
He did. He did, but
that was one of the fights where both fighters came out. Even though Michael Chandler came out with that amazing KO of on Tony Ferguson, both fighters came out looking really good at the end of that fight because I remember just when that fight was booked, I said I didn't know if Tony Ferguson was even going to be able to really strike with Michael Chandler because he looked really, really gimpy his last two fights. And when I say gimpy, I mean like he just kind of looked hobbled and he couldn't really stretch out the way he wanted to. That fight against Michael Chandler, he looked really, really clean. So he's doing something to help him get, right back onto where that El Cucuy was. If we can get El Cucuy at welterweight, I'm all for it too.
Yeah, I hope so. I know he's fought welterweight before, but he hasn't fought in a while in welterweights, and I just like to get more time to put on the weight for welterweight at least. And then going against a power puncher like the Li Jingyang too after getting knocked out, it's just who's kind of a big welterweight himself a little bit. The Leech, it's like, I don't like that fight for Ferguson. I mean, we'll talk more about it obviously when that pay-per-view comes and break it down, but I don't. It doesn't sound like it's gonna be a good ending for Ferguson, in my opinion. But yeah.
But yeah, that's if that's it. Is there any other news you would like to bring up?
I feel like another fight got announced for UFC, like one of the pay-per-view cards, like the 281, 282. Well, I feel like there was a one. Let me see. I feel like another big fight got announced for one of those cards. Could be wrong.
Not that I know of.
Oh, just breaking. Hold up. During 40 minutes ago, Dan Hooker's returning at UFC 281 against Claudio Puelles, UFC 281. I just found out just now. I didn't know this. This was announced 40 minutes ago.
Awesome.
Yeah, so Dan Hooker's returning. We haven't seen him since March when he fought Honor Allen in featherweights and got knocked out by Honor Allen back in the first London card of the year. So it's great to see. It's great to see Dan Hooker back.
Yep.
Hopefully it's a lightweight, not a featherweight.
That he goes back to his the weight that he was doing better at. I enjoyed him more at lightweight than featherweight. I
agree. He did not belong there. It showed against Honor Allen, and Honor Allen just blitzed through him easy in that fight, and he just bad weight cut for him against featherweight. But it makes sense that he's fighting the same night as Israel Adesanya, his city kickboxing teammates, who's fighting against Alex Pereira, defending the belt against him. But yeah, I guess that's the big news. I mean, that was what I was thinking about, but that is kind of a big news seeing Dan Hooker back.
Yeah, I mean, but then if that's it, then just want to thank everyone so much for joining us. If that's it, there's no more news, right?
No more news.
Yeah, just thank you guys so much for joining us on YouTube or on any of the podcast platforms, whether that be Anchor, Google, Apple, Spreaker, Spotify. Just thank you guys so much for supporting and joining us. And we'll be right back next week to break down UFC Paris card. And also, if there's any other breaking news, me and Austin will be more than happy to jump back on for a few minutes and discuss some more MMA. But me from Chef Dan, I just wanted to say thank you guys so much. And Austin, you take it away.
Thank you guys for watching and listening to us. Like I said, YouTube, Rumble, or the podcasting platforms that Dan mentioned, like Apple, Google, Spotify, Reason FM, Spreaker, etc. Appreciate the love, support you guys give us to the channel and to their videos. Thank you guys. We're just two guys breaking down the sport we love. Can't wait to talk next week. Break down the Paris card, the UFC's debut in France. That's very exciting. And if there's any big news that breaks, we'll definitely come and talk about it and break even for a few minutes. We'll definitely do that. And I'm looking forward to Demetrius Johnson, see if he can become a one flyweight champion. That's going to be very exciting for me to see if DJ can add another notch to his career, helping solidify his case for being arguably the GOAT of MMA. And And this pay-per-view was pretty good. I mean, it's very memorable. It's definitely going to be something we're going to be talking about for a long time this past pay-per-view with UFC 278. So Leon Edwards lives up to his nickname, Rocky. I see a Rocky Balboa comeback victory.
Yep.
I'm Austin and Chef Dan. Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I'm Austin and Chef Dan. We'll see you guys next week, and peace.
Peace.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are